Oh, real quick, I'm going to cover more union stuff coming up. Since I was part of a union drive, I was one of the people who, I don't want to say led, and I don't want to take away the agency of anybody else who was involved, but I was sort of a driver of this organizing movement at the Young Turks when I was working there. And I got laid off in January before the union became public in February. And if you're paying attention to this world, you know there was a huge spat, which I'm going to break down a little more. Not right now, but I did an episode previously where I talked quite a bit about this union situation at TYT, and I have a bigger story to tell too. But I realized it's like I've never brought it up again, and I didn't even when they finally did have a recognition after having the second vote. The union, the first vote was the card check moment where the people in the union had a vote. They chose to unionize, and then they notified the company that they were now a union and demanded recognition. That was the vote, but the company wanted a second vote. And they did that. It took a long time because that's not what card check means, by the way. Like Bernie Sanders is for if 50% of the people want to be in a union, and that's it. They have to be recognized. It's this way it's supposed to work. And it's the home of progressives. You would think TYT would support that as well. They didn't. They engaged in a bunch of union busting tactics. There's proof of it. There's articles written about it. Stuff I'm going to talk about in a later episode. But finally, they did have the vote, and TYT Union became a thing. So that's phase one, recognition achieved. Phase two is the negotiation phase, which is ongoing right now, and I don't know anything about. But it's complicated by the COVID thing, although it's not the most complicated thing to deal with. I'm sure that it's manageable, but the quarantine and working from home changes the math and all this stuff. So I just want to say, bravo, man. Good fucking job. Congratulations to TYT Union for finally reaching that. I know this is a few months back. And then they I always got to say, they fired someone. They fired Jacory, who's a guest on this show. There's an episode in the feed with me and Jacory. I was my first guest in a long time. I feel like I was a little overbearing. Well, shocker. But good guy, great guy. And then they fired him the day after Cenk lost his election. He was part of the union drive too. And they went and fired him. So despite that, though, they prevailed, and good for them. And hopefully they're able to reach a contract that is fair and profitable. We want the company to do well. That was always part of the conversation. Even the very first meeting we ever had, that came up. It's not about hurting the company. It's about living. Okay. All right. So hopefully there's a satisfactory resolution later on. Here's the tweet announcing the unionization. We have voted again and have reaffirmed our decision to organize. We are pleased to announce that the Young Turks has officially recognized TYT Union. We are thrilled to now have a voice on the job at TYT. They didn't want them to have a voice. But that's not the way power works if there's enough people. That's why collective power is actually where the real strength resides, and the capitalist mission is to prevent collectives from forming, because that's actually where power is. It's just that it takes a lot of organizing. It's more complicated. So good for them. I'm glad to see it. More about that later.